I'm finally able to spoil Fight Club. Previously on Basement Discourse. What did we talk about? Man of Steel. Man of Steel.
Sound like you were going to sell some rugs.
Yeah,
I was sort of channeling a bit of Bailey in there too. I really didn't know where I was going with that. I was just like, I got to do something weird, so I went with that. But yeah, we spoke about Superman, and we didn't even mention how tight his tights were. But
No,
yeah,
tight.
real missed opportunity. But I'm Jace, the sexy one, the gamer. Then we've got the weeb guy over there. And then the guy who doesn't have enough sweaters and plays tabletop games all day.
This is true.
Nice head sweater, though.
Thank you. Thank you. It
Yeah,
is
that's a
my bald
quality
head warm.
sweater, and it's the same color as the normal grey sweater you have. Like, I think it's the same tonal grey. I'm very happy.
Oh, you mean this one?
We need to get him a one-piece sweater that's like sweater over the head. So it just goes all the way up and then just cut little fucking eye holes.
Oh, I was going to say like a sweater with a hoodie, like a sweaty.
No, all the way.
Fucking one-piece suit.
Can we get him?
Dude, I'd be down.
You know the Squid Game suits, but on the mask we'll put his like dice icon and then just a sweater.
Oh, that's the most Justin thing ever. That's fucking great.
I would be all over that, man. I'd be so much warmer than I am currently.
We'll just write "Run D&D" on the front for you. You'll be right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am wearing that shirt too.
Of course you are. You're wearing your one shirt.
You own 3.
Yeah. Always hidden under the particular sweater.
So what are we doing today?
Well, that's an interesting question. Because we couldn't be bothered to decide. So I've decided that we're going to use a random number generator to randomly choose our topic. So we have a doc that is full of just shit to talk
Dumb
about.
ideas. Yep.
And so I've just formed a list. I was trying to think of a really smart word, but formed is all I've got.
Formulated even.
Yeah, no, formed.
Oh,
I've only formed
okay.
a list.
Yep.
Is it the final form?
No.
Jesus.
It's imperfect cell.
What class is this form? Is it like A class, or are we talking like an E class form?
I don't even know. Now you're talking shit that's way above my pay grade. If I see forms,
What's an E
I'm
rank?
out. All right, so let's just generate a number then.
Let's do it.
It came up with a 2. Now, what does 2 translate to?
Actually,
Spoiler?
while you look that up,
I've already got it, but okay.
yeah. Just for the record, anyone listening, if there are topics you would like us to add to the doco, just comment that shit right as you subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe first, though, then
so
comment,
forget.
and then hit that bell icon, because I don't actually know what that does for us, but people say it, and it seems important.
So it notifies them when we
lot.
release a video.
Yeah, so I never do that on other channels.
Honestly, don't do that. Don't hit the bell icon. That's fucking annoying. Just subscribe. That's enough. Honestly, that's enough.
And it also doesn't differentiate between a video and a short. So because we do so many shorts, they would just fucking get notifications all day long.
Jesus.
You have to
It'd
see
be
how...
dinging off quicker than I was 13 and doing...
Oh, stop. God damn it. Jace, what's the topic?
Bro. Underage.
What's the topic? Run away.
I just want to see your faces.
You see our faces while you're dinging off, bro. You see
Good
my
Lord.
face every time you ding
Nothing's
off.
changed.
So spoilers and the statute of limitations was the title.
Oh, here we go. So that time when you ruined Fight Club.
Yeah. Which is actually the inspiration for me writing that in the doc.
Yep.
The year was 20 odd dickety. Or
I'd say it's around about the old 2006.
2006. That's way after the movie came out. That's so like.
But still,
where do we draw the line on spoilers, and does it differentiate between media? I'll pass it to Brady because he seems involved.
Yeah, he seems ready.
Well, only because that was what I was going to say. I think it depends on the media, right? So I think you've got to be different between movies and TV shows, because some TV shows you have humans like you, Jace, who love to binge watch a season. They don't want to watch an episode by episode. Movies, sometimes people see something come out and they don't want to watch it because it's the fad of the month, or they're busy, or they can't make it to the movies, and then they want to watch it down the line, although that's getting weird now because a lot of things are going very quickly to streaming services not long after their movie run. So I think it's got to be medium dependent, and even then it's hard to know in the moment, but if it's going to be one of those like cult classics or one of those things that people are going to talk about for a long time, you might not want to ever do it, because it might be your gateway drug for get people in stuff. So if we're talking about anime, for example, I wouldn't ruin Death Note for anybody, even though that's quite an old show now.
I wouldn't ruin Fight Club, just for instance.
Yeah. 100%. No, I wouldn't ruin Fight Club for anyone, because that movie is an experience. If I wanted to get people into like
suspense thrillers, I wouldn't ruin The Sixth Sense.
Everyone, like, it's been memed to death.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I reckon I could still find a few people that have never watched it before.
There's a few people who've ghosted that movie.
I was so tempted just then to spoil it just for the shoots.
If you read into his little comment, like you already have.
yeah, 100%.
God damn it.
No, I think it depends on medium, and I think you're right. Put a year date on it. Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
I think you're right. It is kind of annoying on TV shows, specifically like Stranger Things. I already know who's the bad guy already before having been able to have enough time to dive into it, and that just frustrates the shit out of me. I'm pretty sure that's been ruined.
It's pretty obvious the whole way.
Right, okay. So they painted the picture early, because I haven't watched an episode yet. I just haven't had time.
So do you mean that you know about Vecna, or you know Vecna's origin? So I wouldn't spoil it. Okay, so if you know both, that's spoiled. Okay. So if you know Vecna's origin, then that's basically spoiled the twist.
Yeah.
It's not a good twist. I saw that coming. Yeah. I saw that coming very early on with no spoil stuff. Like, that was. I mean, they had.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take much to spoil it either. I've only seen a couple of images, and I was like, right, I see what's going on. Yeah. That kind of shits me, but that's social media these days. You can't really help but
it's a good point.
That's the
I don't
want to
cut across you, because I want to hear your opinion on it.
Back in like 2006, the only way to spoil a movie like Fight Club would be to actually tell someone. Would be to come over to my house and tell my friend the exact ending to Fight Club. Like, you wouldn't have like Facebook wouldn't pop up the ending.
Was I under the impression that he had no idea, or was I just a prick?
I think you're under the impression that he knew seen it, but I don't know why you like said it in such a way. Like, you were just like, oh yeah, well, isn't it cool how like such and such and such and such are the same such and such? And then he's just like, oh, wait, what? Oh, fuck. And that was it. Like, yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know.
I like to avoid spoiling new things, but my problem is that if I'm really passionate about something and I want to talk about a spoiler, if I'm under the impression that it's something that they already know, then I have like no filter and I'm just blurting.
Yeah, that's fair though. I've done that by accident. I try not to do it, and I get excited, especially when I'm passionate about something. Like, I've definitely talked to you guys through too much of a plot of a story, not to a spoiler of the ending, but too much of the plot when I'm trying to get you into it. I've definitely done that a few times. There was something else I was thinking of there before though, when you were talking, Justin, about, Spider-Man, for example. So you mentioned social media spoilers. Yeah. I was furious because even though there was all this lead up to the movie and being like, oh, all the rumors were flying around that the other two were in it, I avoided clicking any of that shit because I was like, if it's real, I want that moment. I really do want that moment. The week it came out, I happened to be working a lot. 2 days after its release, I opened up Facebook and there was an article by a big company as well. It was comicbook.com and it was the thumbnail, all three of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are fucking kidding me, right? Like you just robbed me of this and you guys should know better. Like you definitely should. It wasn't a private post by a person. It was people who should have known better. And I was like, at least a week with a Hollywood film, I think would be fair.
Yeah, it's kind of a dick move. I feel like companies are just on the rush now to get that out there and to be those guys that we are now advertising, good or bad. We're still saying their fucking name on the show, so they've done their job. You know what I mean? Like, kudos to them. They've got what they wanted out of it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Like, I mean, maybe they got some clicks, but it enraged me. I literally, like, I don't even fucking cancel culture or whatever, but like, I unfollowed for that because I was like, I don't want this 100%. To happen again.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. Like, just thinking about you saying that then made me think of when I saw Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Yep.
Now, you guys know me, big Star Wars nerd. I was hyped for The Force Awakens. If someone had have spoiled that Mark Hamill was in it, I would have been furious. I had no idea who was in it, what was happening.
That was a pleasant surprise, right? Yeah, I was in the same boat as you. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What the fuck? Like, it was like, holy shit moment. Yeah, that was a cool moment.
Yeah. When she actually gets there, it was like, fuck yes.
We've kind of worked out what the statute is roughly. Like, it's kind of give or take either 2 days to 2 months, depending on what sort of media it is. What's your worst spoilt moment? Like for you, Brady, it sounds like the Spider-Man one, but have you got one, Jace? Like while it's fresh in my mind before I forget this question.
Worst spoiled moment.
Yeah, there's got to be one, but I'm trying to think of one as well, but I can't quite nail it yet.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like, I'm thinking like, do I check through movies and such?
Yeah.
I can't think of anything, but I know there's been tons that have been spoiled for me.
Yeah.
Before I've had a chance to actually watch and enjoy stuff.
So I've thought of 2. One was Sixth Sense. I got that spoiled for me before I got to see it, which kind of pissed me off. And this was like early days before like socials and stuff. There was just some fuckhead. I think his name was Jace. And then no, it was someone else. But and then the other one was the movie Seven with Kevin Spacey and Brad Pitt. That fucking broke me, man. Like that did my head in just knowing that. I was just like, you fucks.
And so worse yet is there are multiple endings that are all different in that movie. There's like 4, I think, different endings.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I need to look this back up again.
The official one is the one that probably got spoiled.
What's in the box? What's in the box? Yeah, that one.
Yeah. There's actually a band who sampled that bit where he's like screaming at him, "What's in the fucking box?" Yeah, and that's all through the song. It's a fucking great song. But yeah, I've definitely had some big spoils, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Game ones, just to bring it to our other thing. Do you have any games?
The problem with game ones is that I accidentally spoil it for myself and I'm looking up hints and shit. And I'm like, oh. And you keep watching the video, you're like, oh, but what happens next? And then you're like, well, now I know. That's the end.
Yeah. So I have accidentally spoiled games for myself, but nothing ever too big. Yeah. I do believe, if memory serves, someone spoiled Bioshock for me, the Infinite, because I wasn't going to play Infinite. Because I don't know. Are you guys big on Bioshock at all?
I couldn't get into it, to be honest.
No.
The depressing games just don't do it for me. Like that and Fallout, I just kind of get it and I know what it's like to play and I understand the obsession, but I just can't dig.
Yeah, that's fair enough, man. Yeah. So Bioshock had me on the aesthetic. I couldn't give a shit about the gunplay because I thought it was pretty average. But the 1930s are my jam. So a place that is underwater, 1930s Art Deco everywhere, and then it's a whole political statement on capitalism as well, is like, mwah. And then the third one came out, and it's set sort of in, I think it's technically set in the 1960s. It's in the sky, but it's all retrofitted to like 1800s sort of stylings. And I'm like, I don't really care about this aesthetic. And it looked like it had changed a bunch of dynamics. And I was like, I don't care for this. Then someone's like, oh, it ties into the first two. And I was like, fuck it, I'm in. And then wow, thank you to our amazing sponsor in that ad break that Brady's now going to have to put in.
Bam.
Wow. So yeah, I was talking about Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. So Bioshock Infinite, third game, big step away from what the first two games did. And because of that, I was like, the one thing I really liked about it is kind of gone. So I didn't bother. And then as someone persuaded me to check it out, by saying that it actually does link to the other games, I was like, oh. And then someone spoiled the twist. And that twist not only spoils that game, but all the ones prior as well.
Rough. That's pretty shit.
Because the thing that ties them all together is one big fucking twist. And yeah, it's fucking shit when you find out, like when you found out that way. And I did think of another example in gaming as well. Now, there is a game that is pretty notorious, and actually, I believe today is technically its 10-year anniversary. I saw a tweet about it.
Oh, shit.
Spec Ops The Line. Now, have you guys ever heard of this?
Spec Ops The Line.
It's a third-person shooter. I believe it came out on like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. It was really standard as far as gameplay goes, but the interesting part was in the story. So you're basically going in and you're in what seems to be the Middle East, and you're fighting your way through, and you've got to basically rescue your own company from it. But there is a big twist in it that sort of happens about the midway point, and we're 10 years on, so I think I can sort of spoil it at this point. But basically,
that's your warning, everyone watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to be jumping into Spec Ops The Line this weekend.
Yeah. So the twist comes at the midway point that you're the bad guy.
Oh,
you are not the good person.
Yes, I do remember playing this game, and that was such a fucking kick-ass moment when you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And like some of the people that you thought you were trying to protect were figments of your imagination and shit like that. And you'd been bombing and destroying civilians.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty wild. I feel like that's like almost MK Ultra-esque. Like they just sort of, that's because that's where they were trying to go with MK Ultra, was like that whole like aspect of it. So maybe that was a bit of a throw into that sort of world.
I believe it was sort of a commentary on like the US war machine and things like that.
Yeah. Very much what they were attempting to achieve. Yeah,
and the realization that even though you're fighting for what's believed to be the good cause does not inherently make you a good person.
Yeah.
And so that twist was spoiled for me as the selling point to check out the game. And I was like, like I still picked it up and I still played it. It wasn't a bad game, but that, like, if you pick it up knowing that, does kind of spoil it, but it does make for a really interesting concept for a game.
Yes. Yeah, so, I agree. That was a bit of a hard hitter for 10 years ago. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got a few things. First, the quick thing I mentioned to Jace, because it occurred to me as like an anime verse topic, because all the other ones I did were movies. The new Dragon Ball movie that's come out, the fucking day it came out in Japan, every one of my socials had a spoiler, like a big one. And I was like, it's the day of. And it was private people, like this is Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them, like big companies as well as private people were just like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And what upset me is I got to do it with a spoiler warning because
spoilers.
Yeah. The only thing I was looking forward to about this movie is because I don't like the animation style they've gone for. It looks like a CGI game, like from PS3 at best. I'm not a big fan of their style. I don't always like anime movies of TV series animes because often they fit in weirdly in the timeline and they don't actually be canon. Basically, Gohan becomes a bit of a badass, which we've all been waiting for a long time if you're a Gohan fan. But they give him a new form, which I'm kind of over Dragon Ball's thing of doing that. But what I hated more is it looks fucking terrible. And it was all my timeline had on it for days. And I still haven't seen the goddamn movie.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty shit.
So I'm pretty mad about that. They literally announced the English release of it. Not that I need to see it in English, but like still nice because a lot of our cinemas
subtitles, you pussy.
A lot of our cinemas won't show the Japanese version. Sometimes they do, but not often. So we do have to actually, a lot of the time in Australia, wait for the English release.
I saw Resurrection F in cinemas.
Yeah, so
I might have even seen it with you, maybe.
No, I saw Resurrection F in Japan. Actually, okay. So you definitely didn't. I was very happy about that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, maybe, but so that bothered me. But the other thing I was going to mention, what do you guys think is the limit to when you hit spoiler territory? So you were talking about somebody sold you on something, and in their like selling you speech, they fucking spoiled a major moment. That's obviously a spoiler. But is it a spoiler to say this thing happens at episode blah without saying what that thing is, or there's a big twist in the show? Does that ruin it for you? Because that's what spoiling is, right? It's not just giving away facts. It's diminishing your quality of enjoyment, I guess. Like, where do you draw the line?
That's a tough one.
My big thing is anything that shouldn't be expected. So let's take Justin's example about Stranger Things. We all know Vecna was going to be the villain. It was announced nearly immediately. That's fine. But the origin of Vecna, that being ruined, that's a spoiler, and that's a big fucking punch that piece of shit in the throat moment. Like, because that's intended to be secret, that's really annoying to be spoiled. And things like certain either cameos or casting choices can be like what I would probably call like a spoiler light. So things like Tobey Maguire and things like that showing up in that Spider-Man movie. It's not a spoiler because it doesn't give away too much about the plot in that sense, but it's still like a light spoiler in the sense that if you had to come in not knowing what to expect and bam, you get hit with Tom Holland. Is the other one?
Tom Holland's the main one, like he's the new one. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield.
Garfield, that's right. Yeah, so Garfield and Maguire, when they showed up, if you hadn't have known they were going to be in it, you'd be like, oh my god, fuck yes, this is sick.
And that's what I got robbed of. Yeah, like I heard all the rumors, but I was like, I'm not breathing anything into this because I want to see it happen, and that got robbed. Like, it didn't diminish from the quality of the movie. It was fine. Like, this is a Marvel movie, to be honest. Like, whatever.
Yeah, it was a 5 out of 10 movie, but
exactly. But like, that moment was something I wanted, and I did feel robbed of that.
And so that's pretty much where I draw the line. Is any major moment that is intended to be secretive, or certain casting choices that could have been kept secret that would have really enhanced your enjoyment watching the film.
Yeah.
Or
I think that's the line. That's what is a spoiler, basically. That's perfect.
I mean, it's got to be different for everyone what spoils their enjoyment of movies. Some people won't want to know anything, I guess. Those people are out there. But sometimes you have to sell your mates on stuff. I know that we went through a lot of this with you, Justin, getting you into different anime.
Yeah.
And Jace has tried it with us with slice of life animes, and I've tried it with him with getting him to watch typically less slice of life, although lately it seems fucking I'm riding a lot of sides of the fence with that sort of stuff. But it's going to be different for each person, and you have to kind of learn their limits. But just don't be a cunt, I guess is the takeaway.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, learn what people find in their line. If you want to sell them on something hard, just say, look, I think you will like this. Please give it a go. And then that person might do that and then tell you you're a piece of shit. If you said that to me,
I would 100% just ignore you.
They might think you're a piece of shit afterwards and then never listen to your advice again, but that's the gamble you take. Make sure that the thing you suggest is something you know they'll enjoy. But don't spoil shit. Don't say that there's a twist that might be good, because they'll be looking for it.
Yeah,
that's a spoiler in and of its own.
I think the best part is to gauge with someone. Like, if you know that they've not seen it, I don't know, talking about an old movie, let's say the original Matrix or whatever. You're talking about something like that. If you know that they haven't seen it and you've got something that you want to mention about the film, ask them where their limits are. Like, do you want anything spoiled?
Yeah, that's right. Gauge it first.
Or
that's another interesting thing. Have you ever just been like, fuck it, just tell me? Like, if you ever just been like, you know what, I'm probably never gonna like do this thing or never gonna really like finish whatever this is.
Yeah,
just when tell me the end.
Like, my wife and I watch a lot of movies that are like polar opposites, and it's not really something that I would watch, but she might have some cool anecdote that revolves around that, a spoiler from that. I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to watch that movie, so tell me the story and we'll go from there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the only example is that sort of instance. Where...
I think Lost, the TV series Lost.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I went on holidays or something. I came back and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then from there, literally got lost. And I was like, well, I'm not watching this anymore because I don't even know what episode I finished on. So when someone was like, yeah, I watched all of Lost, it was like, you got to check it out. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. So just tell me what happens at the end. They're like,
just alienated.
I'm like, okay, cool, thanks.
Just alienated a bunch of our audience because they don't know why you couldn't catch up because they've never watched free-to-air TV.
True.
With like
back in our days, Sonny.
There never used to be episodes on demand, kids. You used to have to watch what they put out in the week or wait for the DVD release in a year.
And
in Australia,
it's
like 2 years episodes. Now. But see, that's another thing that might be worth mentioning quite quickly. Shows never used to be quite so continuous. So, like, for example, I rewatch every now and then, like, Miami Vice. It's a show I fucking love from the 80s. And a lot of the episodes, as much as there's like a continuous story, it's not like, if you miss one episode, that's fine. You watch the next one. Who cares? Doesn't matter. They're onto a new crime. They're going to catch the guys and they're going to look cool as shit.
Yeah, it was like all the NCISs and Law and Orders and stuff. There was an underlying, somewhat deep story in there somewhere, but it didn't matter if you missed a handful of eps. You could just be like, well, it's all good. We know this guy's probably going to quit.
That brings up an entire new topic, but I call it episodic. And I know that that's simplistic and I've probably stolen it from somewhere, but there are a lot of shows now that do have a main theme and then they try and go that route because they know it's a formula that lasts. So Lucifer is a fucking brilliant example. Have you guys seen that show?
I've watched one episode and I didn't care for it in the slightest.
I'm not surprised. Okay, so Lucifer actually comes from a comic that was actually fantastic. And they took the loose theme and turned it into a cop show, which was a very bizarre move on their behalf. But they were like, look, we need to create a formula that can be repeated every week. So we're going to have this underlying story about how he is actually the devil. He's decided he doesn't want to run hell. He's going to go open a jazz bar. And that's where their comic book realness ended. And then they're like, so because he's the devil, he can they did a twist on it where instead of forcing people not to lie to him or being able to tell when people are lying, he could ask them to tell him their desires, basically. So he would use that to help a particular cop that he enjoyed to solve crimes. So they turned a topic that was supernatural and had like quite a lot of badassery in the comics into something they could do every week on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mega loathe that. I really do. I don't mind it when that's the premise of the show, as you were saying. NDIS, what was the other one? Miami Vice, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's fine. If that's the premise of the show, I'm here for it. I want to sit down. I want to watch that once a week, half an hour, have that mystery, even though I know there's a formula to the show. I want that.
Yep.
But if it's a show with the storyline, just fucking do the storyline.
Yeah. I mean, there's shows like that are teetering on the edge of both, though. Like Supernatural is
I was thinking that
the
first like one or two seasons of Supernatural, you could have just run with that formula for like fucking 85 seasons.
Yep.
And I would happily have watched that.
100.
Sure.
Me too.
Yep. The moment they started fixating on, this is Dean's uncle's cousin who's half demon and his leg got attacked by zombies. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about their family. I don't care that one of them made out with a demon once. Like,
I got done with that show being Dragon Ball for character deaths.
Dude, they just keep coming back. Is that what you're trying to infer? Yeah,
dude. Yeah. I don't know how many times those boys died in the end, but it made every time they died, I was like, whatever, they'll be back.
Yeah, that's right. It's the equivalent of being like a DM and just being like, it's cool, just re-roll a new character. You're all good.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no consequences here because they'll come back next week, kids.
Speaking of next week,
I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it.
What are we doing?
We're going to do a podcast. Brady's going to look like an idiot. I'm going to say something grotesque, and Justin will probably be racist.
Or wearing a sweater.
Both. Why not
both? Great.
Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.